Hey, alright folks, welcome to another episode of Andrew's Life. On this video, I want to get into the numbers on my decision of why I chose to sell my house here in Indiana. Well, at least one of the big reasons anyway. Now, typically, I don't like to share with people how much I pay for big ticket items. But in this case, just so those of you who are looking to purchase can learn something and get something out of this video, I'm going to share those numbers because this is a very important lesson that people need to learn, and I'm going to do my best to see to it that you learn the easy way. You learn through people like myself. That way, when you go out here, you don't make these same dumb mistakes as people like myself done made. So I bought this house back in September of 2023. And I paid $65,000 for this house. The house that, I walked you guys through. I paid $65,000 for that house. Now, the seller at that time was asking for $75,000, and I was successful at bringing down the price to $65,000. Now, at the time, I honestly thought that $65,000 was a fair price, because at the time, when I looked at how much the house was worth, $80,000 at the time I purchased this house. Now, one mistake which I made was, after the home inspector went through and done his thing and gave me everything that he saw that I would have to do to the house, I should have took his notes. And I should have been on ahead and called around different contractors and had them come out here to my house here in Indiana and give me do their inspection and then give me a price of what everything is going to cost. So what I did was, as the inspector went around and done their thing and gave me all their notes, I kind of had a price of what everything was going to cost based on previous experiences. And I thought those figures would be fairly accurate. Unfortunately, I was a bit off. I mean, due to inflation and also every area you go to, the prices on certain repairs are going to differ. And those are the type of things I ran into when I bought this house here in Indiana. I was thinking, they'll come and I can get some new carpet for maybe, $1,500 tops. Well, no, carpet was $3,000, and that's just for the carpet. Now, as far as all the tile goes, I think tile, laminate, something. No, I think it's tile. So as far as all the tile goes, like like the kitchen, the washroom, and the restroom, all that would have ran about $1,500. So at that point I would have been in $4,500 on flooring just for the lower level, just for the main level. Now for the upper level, the attic, I probably, regardless of what decision I made in terms of the flooring, if I were to just pick a number out of the sky, I would have been in another couple of $1,000s. So, that would have been around $6,000-ish just for flooring. And like I told you guys before, I also had to replace all the galvanized plumbing. All needed to be replaced. Now, the number I had in my head for all new plumbing was $2,000. Now, I would say due to inflation and also due to the kitchen drain having issues when it gets super cold outside, I would say the cost to replace all the plumbing is going to be more, because I would also have to include the replacement of the kitchen drain. And I would, and I would have to pay another $1,000 for a new hot water heater, one that would be big enough to where I can do dishes, do laundry, and take a shower without the water running cold. And another thing is, I'm not going to tell you guys what town I'm in. I'm not going to give you guys locations in terms of this house, for privacy and security reasons for both me and the new owner. But the town which I was living in, their utility bills are like insane. I mean, they're like the water here, like where I'm at in Alabama, my water bill is $50 a month. Here in Indiana, in the town where I'm at, where I was living at for 5 months, the water bill was over $100 a month. And I haven't even done laundry here at the house. I've always been going to the laundromat. So having I done laundry here, my water bill would have been even higher. Now here's the thing which, so yeah, like I told you before, I paid $65,000 for this house. Now, I'm getting ready to sell this house for the agreed upon price for me to sell this house was $58,000. Now, for those of you that have closed on a house before, whether it be selling a house or purchasing a house, you know that whatever price that I'm going to sell my house for is not going to be the actual figure that I'm going to get a check for at closing. So out of that $58,000, by the time they deduct realtor fees, closing costs, and also property taxes, because whenever you sell a house, you have to pay some property taxes. You have to pay up the property taxes. So by the time all that was figured out, the amount of money that I'm gonna actually get back after everything is said and done, and the sale is final, I'm only getting back $51,000. And again, I'm giving you these figures. I'm getting a little personal here, more personal than I normally would want to be, because I want you guys out here to learn a lesson. The easy way, that is. Learn from me. Don't go out here and do the same dumb stuff I did and then lose a shitload of money. Now, so yeah, at closing, I'm only getting back $51,000. So if you do some quick math, 65 is what I paid for the house. 51 is what I'm getting back. So basically, I done lost $14,000 on this transaction. Now I understand there's people out here that lost 10 times that amount of money on their transactions. Thank God I'm not in those. Thank God I'm not in their shoes. But 14 grand is a big hit. I mean, for me, $14,000 loss is a huge deal. Because 14 grand, I could have took that money and used it. I could have invested that 14 into this channel. I could have maybe went out here and learned a new trade. I could have done a whole crap load of things for $14,000. I'm just saying. But, and I'm going to be honest, I did not think I would lose that kind of money on this house. I was thinking I would at the very least break even. But unfortunately, it did not happen. Now, it didn't happen because, whenever you have a house that's a fixer-upper, that doesn't exactly help anything. Now, another reason why I lost money is because, I would say a couple of days before I drove up here to Indiana, I got something in the mail, and it was from the assessor's office, the county assessor's office. And basically, it had the new value of what my house is currently worth. Now, last year, back when I purchased this home in September of 2023, the house was worth $80,000. This year, the value of the house has went from 80 grand to down to $66,000. So the value of my house here in Indiana has declined by $14,000. So, and I'm pretty sure many people that were looking to buy my house, they looked at the numbers, they done their due diligence. And for those who had to go through a bank, I know for a fact the banks would have, at some point before closing, done some due diligence, and they would have looked up the county records to see what the house is worth. So when I saw that my house was only worth 66 grand, not even a whole year later after I first purchased this home, I was like, man, okay. Now, some of you might be like, well, you could have kept the house. You could have fixed it up and rented it out. Yeah, I could have, but guess what? I didn't. Why didn't I? Because I would have lost a shitload of money. Now, even if I would have, if I would have kept the house and fixed it up, just to bring the house up to snuff to make it renters worthy, I would have been spending a minimum of $20,000 on the repairs. So I paid $65 for the house. 65 plus 20, that's $85,000. Now my figures might be a little off, maybe, but I think I'm fairly close. So let's say $85,000 for the house, which is the real price on the house at that point, if my figures are correct. Now, $85,000. Now, even, and by the way, the area in which this house is located in, the market, the average cost of rent for a house like what I have here in Indiana would be $650. I would say if I wanted to push it, I could have rented it out for $7 a month. $7 at the very, very, very most. So let's say I rented it out for $7 a month. Here's how I figure everything out on whether I think it's worth it being a landlord or not. Now, a lot of people, they buy a house, you got your you got to pay your mortgage and all that type of stuff. Your mortgage, property taxes, homeowners insurance, and maintenance, and in some cases, you got to also pay, I forgot what you call those people, property manager. Now, here's how I figured that it was not going to be in my best interest to be a landlord. Other than the fact that I think being a landlord is a huge headache and a pain in the ass, because dealing with people is a pain in the ass. But other than those thoughts, here's the let me break the math down a little bit for you guys. Here's the reason why I did not fix the house up and turn it into a rental. Like I told you guys a second ago, the real price on the house would have been $85,000, give or take. Now, if I rent the house off at $700 a month, by the time I factor in property management fees, homeowners insurance, which if you're a landlord, is going to be higher compared to what it would be if the house was being occupied by just me for personal use. Property taxes. And again, here in Indiana, you get a homestead if the property is your primary residence. But if it's not a primary residence, and you're just going to be a landlord, then you got to pay the full amount on your property taxes. Now, property taxes here at this house, again, that went up substantially. It went up by about a third. Property taxes back when I first bought the house, the property taxes then were $1,200 a year. When I got my new bill in the mail, a little before I left Indiana and went back to Alabama, I got my taxes in the mail. My property taxes were, my new property taxes for this coming year 2024, my new property taxes were $1,600 for the year. So my property taxes went up from $1,200 to $1,600. So by the time I factor in the property taxes, homeowners insurance, property management fees, which many property management companies typically charge around 10% of whatever your rent price is going to be. So in my case, my management fees would have been $70, assuming that I rent the house out for $700 a month. So property taxes, property management fees, repair and maintenance, homeowners insurance. I mean, those are some of the fees off the top of my head that I could think of that I would have to deduct from that $700. So just off the top of my head, by the time I deduct all those fees, I'm guessing that my actual profit, so to speak, would be about 300. I mean, I'm thinking my profit would be at the best, my profit would be, what did it say, $350 a month. So $350 a month, multiply that by 10. Now I'm at $3,500. $3,500 plus 3, that's $3,800 and a half. $3,500 plus 3, that's $3,800 plus 3 more. That's that's $4,100. So just off the top of my head, if I rent my house out for $700 a month, by the time I deduct all the stuff that I would have to pay, property taxes, homeowners insurance, property management fees, repair and maintenance, stuff like that, I'm going to guess that off the top of my head, the figures I come up with is, I'm going to, the amount of money that I'm going to make in profit, so to speak, will be around $4,200 for the year. Now, my numbers might be off by a tad bit because I'm doing all this in my head. I'm not using no calculator, I'm just doing it all in my head. So just roughly, and what did I say, $4,200 for the year. And here's how I think. Now, how long is it gonna take me to break even on my investment? $65,000. No, the real price, $85,000 for the house. $4,200 per year, roughly, that I'll be earning in profit. Now, take that $4,200, let's multiply it by 10. Now, yes, I understand as time goes by, rent prices are going to go up, so I'm going to raise my rent up as well. But everything else is going to go up too. So let's keep it on, let's keep it on the real. But just for the sake of this video, and keeping things as simple as possible without having to use a calculator, let's take $4,200 a year, multiply it by 10. Okay. Now I'm gonna be at $42,000, and that's in a 10-year time frame. So I would say, and again, these numbers are not exact, but I would say roughly it's going to take me 13 to 15 years in order for me to break even on this investment. If I were to keep the house and fix it up and be a landlord, it's going to take me around 13 years to break even. 13 to 15 years roughly. And to me, that's a piss poor investment. I'm not trying to have to be a landlord for that long and just to break even. To me, that's a poor investment. Which is why I chose not to fix the house up and become a landlord. I chose to sell it and just take a loss the way I'm going to take a loss. And by the way, the scenario that I gave you is assuming that everything is perfect. My tenant's perfect. They pay on time. They pay the amount that they're supposed to pay. They give me no issues. They don't go in there and tear up my house. Nothing unexpectedly goes wrong with the house while they're in there. So the scenario I just ran with you guys, that's assuming that everything is perfect. But anyone that's been a landlord understands that almost nothing in the landlord business is going to be perfect. In fact, the chances of things being imperfect and falling apart are going to be greater than the other way. That's just the reality of being a landlord for the majority of your landlords. Which is why during the housing boom, a crap ton of your landlords decided to sell their inventory. They decided to sell their portfolio and wipe their hands clean of being a landlord. Because being a landlord, in most cases, most landlords find out that they don't really make any kind of money. The little bit of money many landlords make, they can go do DoorDash and make that kind of money. I'm just saying. So yeah, I mean, that's why I refuse to be a landlord. Now, obviously, if I was going to stay here in Indiana, I would have fixed the house up. But since I had no plans to stay here in Indiana, that's why I left it the way it was. Now, granted, if I would have fixed up everything on this house and then attempted to sell it, I would have lost even more. How is that? Well, let me explain. Let's go back to what I was saying about the home repairs. Now, let's say I put $20,000 on repairing this house. $65,000 for the house. Matter of fact, forget $20,000. Let's say I hire a bunch of people that are bootleg as hell and don't know what the hell they're doing. All they know how to do is make crap look nice. So let's say I hire some bootleg type people to do repairs for me, and I invested a total of $10,000 into the repairs. So okay, at that point, I pay $65 for the house, drop another $10 for repairs. Now I'm at $75. Well, according to the county, my house is only worth $66. So once a bank goes and they do their research, they're gonna come back to me and they're gonna tell me, hey, Mr. whoever the buyer would be, they're gonna let the buyer know, hey, we're not gonna give you a loan for $75,000. The house is only worth $66. So we'll give you a loan for $66 or lower. So that means I'll have to be willing to sell the house for $66 or lower, even though I got $75 into the repairs. So if I were to go that route, let's say let's say I put $10,000 on home repairs. So now the house, like I said, I got $75,000 into the house. This is speaking hypothetically. 75 into the house, the buyer is willing to pay 66. Now, under those circumstances, I still would have lost $9,000. So, if I would went the bootleg route, I would have lost $9,000. The way I'm doing it right now, I'm losing 15. That's where if I would did the bootleg route, I would have lost 9. So basically, I could have, kept that additional $6,000 maybe. In that scenario that I just ran with you guys just a second ago, there's no guarantee that would even work like that. There's no guarantee that the bank would have even granted $66,000. I mean, who knows? So my attitude is I'd rather just keep the house the way it is, and not haggle with having to hire contractors, and then I gotta go off of their schedule and their availability and all that type of crap. It's like, again, I don't got time for all that. I got too much going on with my life. I work a full-time job, and plus I'm trying to build this channel. So with all that going on, I just don't got time to be chasing tons of contractors and shopping around for prices and making sure that I'm not being ripped off. And the bootleg route that I just gave you guys, I don't even like doing it like that. I try to be an honest human being. I don't like doing the bootleg route and then lying to people. I'd rather just keep it 100% and keep it as honest as I can. So, that bootleg stuff wouldn't have worked for me no way, because my morals wouldn't allow me to do it like that. Because I know if I buy a house and it's been bootlegged together, I'm going to be pissed off. So why would I want to do that to a potential buyer? I don't, and I won't, and I didn't. I left the house the way it was. What you see is what you get. It is what it is. So hopefully this video has helped somebody out here. And also, this video is getting long, so I'm gonna probably come back and I'll do a third video. And I'm gonna just, and that third video is gonna go out to whether you should buy or whether you should rent. I'm gonna do that video next. So stay tuned for that video. I'll check you guys later.